Today on the LA Food Podcast, I'm your host Lucas Servodio, coming to you with an episode that is guaranteed to make you scream, "Goal!" That's right, dear listener, we're headed to Los Angeles' Temple of Soccer, BMO Stadium, home of Los Angeles FC, to break down how to achieve the best day of eating in and around the stadium. Friend of the pod, Daniel Wargo, who you might know as Forking Around on social media, joined me this past Saturday for a day of food, fun, and football as we attended the white-hot rivalry match between LAFC and the LA Galaxy. The game was beyond intense, but so was our commitment to finding the best way to make your day at the stadium an unforgettable eating experience as well. We break down the best places to eat before the game, what to nosh on when you're inside the stadium, and where to head for a late night feast once the game's all said and done. We also tell you about her experience at the game itself, so get ready for tales of hypnotic drum patterns, electrifying on-field heroics, and a pretty hairy but also wildly hilarious altercation Daniel and I had with a half-naked LA Galaxy supporter. Whether or not you're a soccer fan, I think this episode is a great reminder of what makes Los Angeles such a fun and exciting place to live, and it all culminates with a round of our trademark game, The Perfect Rec, in which I challenge Daniel to offer the perfect recommendation for where to eat around all of LA's greatest sports venues. How does he fare? Listen to find out. Without further ado, let's chow down. Returning to the podcast today is a man who forks. It's Daniel Wargo, aka Forking Around. Daniel, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be back.
Welcome back, man. How's your day going?
It's great. It's awesome. It's a Tuesday, but it's kind of like my Friday because I don't work tomorrow. So I'm feeling real good.
Have you eaten anything good today?
Today, I'm not going to lie to you. I had one of those Trader Joe's buttered chicken things for lunch. It's, for like $4. It's a nice little lunch.
Yeah, you could do worse. Do you have any plans for your day off?
Oil change first thing in the morning. It's kind of an errand day. Unfortunately, things have been piling up, and that's what's going to have to happen.
I saw from your social media recently that you finally were able to try Leven, the newly acclaimed bakery here that just opened in Los Angeles.
Yeah, finally.
What were your thoughts on those cookies?
They're amazing. Although I will say I have been eating them since like 2011, back when I lived in New York. So it is a longtime favorite of mine, but I finally was able to attack them here in my own city. And that feels better than anything, I got to say.
Better or worse than you remembered?
Better. It's better because I'm home,
Mm-hmm.
There's something about doing it in New York because you take it to the park. How we would go to the one on like 74th or something and then take it over to the park. It's a nice afternoon, but like, man, I have a whole box of cookies over there at my own house.
That's luxury right there.
Yeah, it is.
What's your favorite flavor?
I love the peanut butter chocolate one.
I don't know why. I'm a bit of a walnut fan. I'm not usually a walnut fan, but the chocolate chip walnut for these ones, I think works really well. So that was that's my poison of choice when it comes to Leven. But the peanut butter chocolate is a very solid choice.
Yes,
You're a sports fan, right? Yeah,
big time.
What are your sports of choice?
Baseball, football, and then proper football, as I also call it, soccer. Those are kind of my top three these days. I do not discriminate though. I love, basketball and hockey, and I just started learning about tennis, and I'm like, I don't have time for another sport, but tennis is amazing. So here we are.
Tennis is awesome. Yeah, tennis is awesome. My wife has become obsessed with this like vlogger who is the girlfriend of a famous tennis player, and her like behind the scenes footage of the tennis tournament specifically is a pretty enticing like advertisement for just going and chilling at tennis tournaments. Like, you don't have to watch all of the game. You can kind of bounce around between the games, have some nice cocktails, take in the atmosphere. It kind of seems like the Coachella of sports events.
That sounds amazing, honestly.
the reason I ask you about sports so abruptly is because you and I had a sporting experience this weekend. We went to El Tráfico, the game between LAFC and LA Galaxy at BMO Stadium.
We did.
And I mean, I thought it was a hoot, but let me begin by asking you, did you have fun? Would you hang out with me again?
I would hang out with you again. That I was most worried about that, but but that was cool. You're a good hang, and no, we had a blast. Like it was so fun.
It was your first soccer game, right? First
First
MLS game.
MLS. I might have seen one in the '90s, but it was indoor. Was MLS indoor in the '90s? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I definitely went to an indoor soccer game in the '90s. But other than that, no, that was my first MLS game.
So what's your take on like US soccer? Had you been following it, or were you kind of like, I'm into the Premier League, but not quite ready to get down with the MLS just yet?
I think I'm a little bit on the edge of that. Like, I pay attention because it's my city, so I like to support teams from my city. And, but in general, I had kind of a little bit of a downward look at the MLS, I will say. I only got into soccer a few years ago, and really it was, like the Premier League and just the whole system of soccer in Europe and honestly the rest of the world and how that works is what was really enticing for me. So to not have that element, like there's no relegation here or promotion, there's no stakes here, other than bragging rights.
Yeah.
That was hard for me to kind of like, you have to just love the game here almost,
Yeah,
right?
or you just have to love the experience of going to a game.
Right.
Like, so when MLS first started picking up here, I think it probably would have been like the late 2000s when David Beckham came over. And I
Hmm.
remember there being like a lot of hype around that. But really, I feel like the excitement around soccer in Los Angeles kind of skyrocketed in 2018 when LAFC hit the scene,
Yeah.
which I think just made soccer a lot more accessible to a lot of folks because you no longer had to drive down to Carson to take in a game. You could now do it downtown Los Angeles near the Coliseum and near other places where people in Los Angeles are very accustomed to going for sports events like the Staples Center and, that sort of like downtown sports hub.
Yeah.
So I think, and even when I went for the first time back then in 2018 to the LAFC game, I remember the atmosphere feeling a little bit like artificial because it was like a brand new team. There wasn't any like history to it. But now that it's been 5 years, the fans have had a chance to really like, buckle down and create their own traditions. The
Right.
atmosphere was pretty electric
It was crazy.
from the moment we even set foot like around the stadium.
Yeah. That's so true. It was unlike any sporting experience I've ever been a part of, and maybe it's that way at any MLS game in the country. I couldn't tell you. Maybe they're all that electric, but whatever that was very exciting from
Well, this
from the
was
moment we walked through the gate.
And this was a special game because it wasn't just an LAFC game. It was the local like rivalry match
Right.
as they call it in soccer, the derby between LAFC and Los Angeles Galaxy, which has been affectionately dubbed El Tráfico. And
Right.
at first when we got there, I was thinking there's not a whole lot of Galaxy fans here. It very very much seems like LAFC. Of course, we'll
Uh,
talk about this later, but we did find where the LA Galaxy fans were hanging out.
we did.
Um, but of course, this is a food podcast, so I wanted to quickly talk about eating and attending sports. In general, how do you like to approach eating when you're going to a sports game?
Generally, I like to save my appetite for the game, which I mean, I don't know why, because the food usually, I won't say this game in particular, but usually is more on the mediocre side and expensive.
Mhm.
But, if I go to a baseball game, I got to have a hot dog and I kind of want some nachos. It's just,
Yeah.
it's part of the experience.
Like, part of the experience is spending that $100 on the food.
Unfortunately, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Are you like a nachos in the helmet kinda guy?
I would love to be, but every time I see the price of those, I'm kind of like, maybe I'm not one of those kind of guys. Maybe I'm the cheese cup with the jalapenos on the side kind of nacho guy.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Well, it's funny you say that because a lot of people are a different kind of guy, aka the guys that like to eat before going to the stadium because they know that the price is going to be a bit of a shocker. So
Hmm.
I often get requests for recommendations for what to eat around stadiums
Yeah.
before games even kick off. And I have to say, if you are looking for places to eat in and around LAFC, BMO Stadium, as it's called, there are lots of different options. So I sort of broke down the options into three categories. First category being tons of street vendors around the stadium.
Right.
People selling taquitos, really good looking tacos, really good looking bacon wrapped hot dogs, or as I call them, danger dogs, which you had never
Hey,
heard of.
I had never heard that, but those danger dogs do good things to me, and
Yeah.
bad
Well,
and bad.
in contrast to me, you've actually had one before.
Yes, I have. I love them. Like a great. That's a great day when you see one of those guys.
Yeah, it usually means you're at some sort of event where you're having fun and there are people. So I do appreciate them for setting the ambiance. I've just never myself dared try one, but hey, maybe one day we'll do an episode all around trying the danger dog.
Why not? I mean, I
Yeah.
think you have to. That's part of being an Angelino.
Yeah. Part of being an Angelino, it's sitting in
Just is.
traffic and eating danger dogs.
Yeah.
The other sort of option that's real readily accessible right by BMO is the Fields, which is a food hall which they
Mhm.
opened up when they opened up the stadium. And it used to be open all the time and have like a permanent set of vendors, but now they have a rotating cast of vendors and they only open on game day. On the particular game day we were there, the vendors were Triple Beam Pizza, Amboy, the burger place,
Mhm.
and Tacos Way, the taco vendor out of West Hollywood.
Yeah.
What did you think about we'll talk about the lineup, but sort of this ambiance.
It's a great little spot, lots of seating, lots of, obviously the food, they do have some food there. It's just it's nice given its proximity to the stadium. Like you're literally connected to it. And so there is a place for you to kind of hang out before you go in. Especially if you want to get away from the craziness of all of the like fan tailgating kind of stuff that's happening out there, which is a lot of fun, but it's a little more wild.
Yeah, there's an absolutely insane like fan zone that happens in the like grass patch outside of BMO. And that is absolutely crazy. There's like drums, dancing, everybody's like drinking out in public like we're in New Orleans or something. And I was
Right.
absolutely here for it. But it's not maybe where you would go if you have like a family to like hang
Right.
out, right? The field screams more like family friendly. Like this is where you go and like sit down, get the kids a slice of pizza, triple beam. You and your partner get a nice beer and sort of like just chill out before the game actually happens. I like the fields. I just thought the environment was maybe a little bit sterile. Like it
Yeah.
was like it's not where the action is, right? Like
No,
it's
yeah.
even for the most like heated rivalry game of the season, it was a pretty like quiet, subdued environment in there, I thought.
Absolutely. I will say it gives, and I'm going to preface this by saying I don't mean this in a bad way, but it kind of gives hospital cafeteria vibes a little bit.
I'm not sure how you could construe that as anything other than a diss.
I don't know. It's like there is beer, but
Yeah,
it almost feels like it's a little too quiet
yeah,
in
a
there,
little too clean as well. Like
and
it's like
clean. Yeah.
it doesn't feel lived in at all,
No.
like and the other part of it is like the food vendors themselves I think are forced to sell their product in a way that can be churned out very quickly. So they just have these like pizzas and burgers and tacos sitting under heat lamps. I
Mhm.
cannot imagine that they're any good.
Yeah, I don't think I would choose to eat there personally. But, I will say you're probably getting a similar quality to anything you're getting in the stadium because the same thing's happening there where it's like they're churning it out ready to eat. I don't
It's
know.
interesting. We were talking to a chef actually about this, and he was saying that that's part of the challenge when you take any sort of restaurant that has a brick and mortar elsewhere and try to replicate that experience at the stadium
Right.
is you can't replicate it. You need to find like new hacks, maybe try a new menu or something because
Hmm.
you need hot and ready food to serve. You can't have like a line at at the stadium. Apparently there was Chica's Tacos, which was
Hmm.
at the LAFC stadium when it first opened, and they attempted to have a sort of like taco building line in their kitchen. And even that, just like tortilla, meat, and toppings, was too much and too time intensive to serve their product,
Right.
which blew my mind.
Yeah, it's surprising to hear that, but it kind of makes sense because at a game, I mean, usually the fan like those 30 minutes before kickoff or first pitch or whatever are kind of like go time for food and beer, and so how many thousands of people need to be fed or at least get their food in those 30 minutes. It's an insane ask. um
Yeah,
so it makes sense.
would be a great like Food Network challenge show. Like, who can come up with the best concept for stadium food and who can like execute on it most like excellently. It's like the great food
Yeah.
truck race, but like the great stadium food race or something.
Yeah. They should do an episode or a challenge of that for Top Chef this year. That's what I'm gonna pitch. I'm pitching that right now, or you're pitching that
We're
to them
pitching that.
right here. Yeah.
Top Chef, we're pitching. Magical Elves, if you're listening, this is our pitch. Well, I will say, if you're going to do it in any city, it feels like Wisconsin, or I'm sorry, Milwaukee and Wisconsin in general is a good place because they're crazy about sports, you know?
Yeah, they don't have a lot else to do there.
Yeah. It's
So
like sports and cheese and beer, right?
pretty sure I've never been, but I'm pretty sure that that's what you do there: beer and cheese and sports.
And fighting off the cold and the existential dread of dying someday, which you do anywhere, to be fair.
A
So,
little bit less here, though, I think.
yeah, when you're surrounded by the sunshine and the beach, like you kind of get distracted from that existential dread.
Exactly.
The real hack, though, if you're going to go to LAFC Stadium and you want some good food before the stadium experience, you don't want to spend that money. You don't want to wait in those lines. You don't want to like settle for lackluster food. Is to go to Mercado La Paloma, which is one of the best places to eat any day of the week, but especially on game day. It's a food hall that's maybe like 10 to 15-minute walk from the stadium. And not only does it have excellent food, it's also home to the LA Times Restaurant of the Year, Holbox. Now, I've spoken a lot about Holbox, so I won't bore you, dear listener, again with my fawning praise of this restaurant. So I'm going to let Daniel tell you what he thought of this restaurant.
Amazing. It was my first time having it. Tried two different tacos there, so I didn't get the full, that full tasting course menu, which is high on my list, but that wasn't the day to do it. So yeah, I loved it. I loved the tacos, loved the process, the just the story of the place, And also I've listened to your goings on about it on the podcast for months, and your interview with the chef, which was awesome. And so you kind of just feel like you get a lot. I don't know, that story, the story of it ties
It
in
comes
beautifully.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, you wouldn't necessarily want the tasting experience on game day because, yeah, you'd get to the stadium and like the game would be over. But B,
Right.
also like you'd probably get there a little heavier than you'd want to in the first place. So stopping there
Yeah.
for a couple tacos is really the ideal way to do it. And the tacos we had were their campachi, like they're like smoked
Smoked
campachi
kapachi.
quesadilla, which, you know, mind-blowingly good, like with that
Yes.
peanut salsa matcha. Oh, just like
Beautiful. Yeah.
incredible. And we had their pulpo en su tinta, the octopus, the like crispy octopus that's like served over a sofrito that's stained, if you will, with the ink of the squid. So it really gets that like marine flavor. And I mean, that 1-2 punch of tacos before a soccer game, I think that's like cheating.
It's a beautiful meal to have before a game. Yeah.
And the only knock I would have on Mercado La Paloma is that you can't drink there, which feels like the one thing you want to do at a stadium
Hmm.
before going to watch a soccer game. But you know
Sure.
what? you have those tacos, you bring a couple beers with you, or you purchase them from one of the vendors who are like posted outside of the stadium, probably
Yeah.
not selling them legally, but selling them nonetheless.
Yeah.
And you just, you know, have a post taco beer right outside the stadium. That would be my shout for the ideal way to pregame the stadium experience.
I think it is the right way to do it. Couple tacos there, head right on over, then start drinking.
Start drinking and take in some of the atmosphere. There's like drums and craziness happening outside of the stadium. There's a bunch of interesting characters. The one really interesting thing about this is that in the short time that LAFC has existed, LAFC fans and LA Galaxy have sparked a fierce rivalry.
Mhm.
And I was a little worried when we got there that it wasn't going to be as fierce as I thought, because every time we like saw some LAFC and LA Galaxy fans and we asked them like, "Yo, what do you think of LA Galaxy fans, or what do you think of LAFC fans?" For the most part, they were like, "They're chill. I'm chill with them. I have friends who are Galaxy fans. I have friends
Right.
who are." So I was like, "Oh my god, what kind of a rivalry is this?" There's
Mhm.
no like hatred or vitriol or anything. Like, I'm sure if I asked you, what do you think of Giants fans or Padres fans, you'd probably have some choice words, right?
Yes, I will have choice words, but I don't have choice words for the Angels. So I guess it makes sense in that regard. Like they are the closest team to me, and I'm not gonna sit here and badmouth them because I don't really care.
Is that because the Angels have never been a threat?
Mm, no, no. Well, I think there's an element of that. They're not, but they, when I was a kid, not to go too deep into the weeds here, but they won the World Series in like '02 or '03, and the Dodgers won the World Series in '88. That was their last time before 2020, and I was born in '89. So like the Dodgers were not good when I was a child. It wasn't until the past 10 or 11 years that they've been good. Or they
Yeah.
were good in the '80s and the '70s, and but there was a real tough spot in there. So they were good. The Angels had that on me. My buddies would always be like, "Well, we won a World Series."
Yeah. Well, then to me, it's deranged that you don't have more hatred for the Angels, because, like, I come from soccer culture, and if a team so much as looks at you the wrong way, you immediately curse their entire family and anybody who came before them, whether or not they supported the team. You
That's
know?
totally fair, and I love that. I think though you get a little, and this is going to sound so terrible. I don't even care. I'm a Dodger fan. I love it. This When you are as good as the Dodgers are, when your team is that good for so many years, you develop some humility and you respect. I'm like, I want the Angels to do well. If the Dodgers were still bad, I would be on a totally different wavelength.
Yeah. Well, that must be why it's sort of like, what it feels like to be there. So you're still kind of like, oh my God, I can't even believe we're here at the pinnacle of Mount Everest. So
Right.
I might as well just enjoy it and not waste
Yeah.
my time just like, talking shit about other teams. So
Right.
that makes
Ask
sense
me
to
in
me.
10 years. It could be different.
Yeah. Could be different. Could be different. Well, speaking of that heated rivalry, when we got into the stadium, it was a completely different story. So
Yeah.
our seats were pretty good. We got them last minute on StubHub. Shout out
Mhm.
StubHub. Thank you for sponsoring this podcast someday. And we found even the cheapest seats were pretty good. They were like on the lower level, which I thought was a feature, not a bug. I thought that was like, where you wanted to sit during an LAFC LA Galaxy game. Turns out it's not the best place to sit, because sitting above us were some pretty angry LA Galaxy fans. As the game progressed, LAFC started to win, and by the time the clock was ticking down, the score was like 4-2 for LAFC, and the LA Galaxy fans were doing some interesting things to us.
Yeah, it got crazy. I mean, like, we have to point out that we were seated directly below the drummer for the LA Galaxy. Like, that's why that we got the cheapest tickets, which were still not
Right.
that cheap. But the
No.
cheapest tickets they knew that the drummer was going to be right above us.
Yeah.
And we didn't.
The noise pollution itself, like, alone would have, taken down the ticket by 50%. And
Yeah.
then you add the fact that when you so much look at the LA Galaxy fans, even if you're not one of the deranged LAFC fans who are like
Mhm.
yelling obscenities and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I was just looking up out of curiosity, and one of the LA Galaxy fans makes eye contact with me, assumes
Yep.
that because I'm looking up, I'm some sort of, hater. I'm not, by the way, I'm not wearing any LAFC swag or anything.
Right.
He is wearing a face covering, not like a COVID face covering, not like a I'd look after myself face covering. He was wearing like a I'm about to commit a crime face
Yeah,
covering.
like a biker gang in the desert face covering.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's also not wearing a shirt, which
No.
is,
It's weird. Why cover up one and not the other? I don't understand.
totally. Clearly, the sun was not his foe. It was being recognized. He sees that I'm making eye contact with him, and he pulls down his biker gang mask, and I'm like, surely he's not gonna spit at me. Sure, no, there's no way, right? Like, we're not at a place in this world where like you just see someone looking at you and then you spit on. Surely enough, this man loads up and proceeds to hawk one on me. Big fat, big fat one. Right. No, and it was one of those things where I was in so much shock. I don't think I couldn't move. Like I couldn't have dodged it, Like
Yeah.
I was rooted in place and it hit me square in the head, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, needless to say, we thought there wasn't going to be an experience, but there was an experience. There was a real atmosphere in that stadium and you and I got caught up in it.
We did. Yeah, and I eventually I missed a little bit of something. I saw him start to go off at you a little bit, but I was like, it's not real. And so I kind of turned my attention back to the game and I'm kind of looking up and over. And so I missed the whole spit altercation. And
Yeah.
then you were kind of starting to talk back to him because
Yes.
there was obviously that's frustrating.
Yeah, what happened is, I became a different person in that moment. Like I saw red, like I
Uh-huh.
wasn't an LAFC fan, but after I got spit on, I became the most ardent LAFC fan and began ridiculing this man and everything that he stood for.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I will say, like, not it's not conduct I'm proud of, but I think it's just because I am so removed from that environment in Europe. Like it's totally normal in Europe to like yell obscenities and personal attacks at fans of other teams, and it's
Uh-huh.
so not okay here. Can you imagine doing that at a Dodger game? People
Right.
would be like, "Yo, there are kids around. You should
Yeah.
leave." But
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thing is, there were kids around us, and they were some of the most obscene people out there.
There was
They were like
craziness. Yeah.
yelling things that words that I still don't think I fully comprehend, but they had command of them,
There was a
and
lot of that.
a lot of fingers flying around, middle fingers, other gestures, which I think they must have learned on TikTok or something. So it
Mhm.
made me feel less bad because the kids were the ones really leading the charge. Yeah, so I got into it with this guy, and he kept mimicking like you, me,
Uh-huh.
outside. Um, and
Like,
that's
that's when I tuned in. Really, I was
yeah.
like, something's happening here.
Yeah, yeah. Daniel tuned in because it started to threaten his security as well, and so that's when we sort of like I started avoiding eye contact and just trying to
But I
focus on
did
the game.
one last thing because I didn't know the full extent. I actually couldn't even hear what you were saying. And so you did say though to me, he spit on me, and I was like what where are we, like and so I just kind of referenced the fact that he was like myself, not in the best shape, and had his shirt off,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
started kind of gesturing towards his rather large man boobs,
Yeah.
and then I got spit on.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, look, yeah, I appreciate it because you entered for me. Like you came in,
Yeah.
you saw your brother down and you were like no man left behind and you came in and you tried your best. It is funny to me just like what we do in these moments of like necessity, like what we resort to.
Hmm.
And I think that you and I both kind of stooped to his level and I'm not proud of it, but you know what? I think that's just part of having the full LAFC, LA Galaxy experience,
It was part of
apparently.
the thing. And you know what? It wasn't like, oh, this is minute 2. This is like towards the end. We're in the second half. We've had a lot of beer spilled on us from those fans up there.
Yeah, it's true.
Like a lot. And I'm ready to take the drummer's mallets and do things that are not legal with them. Like that's where I'm at in my head at this time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. No, I mean, I do think the drums alone are enough to drive you insane through the like even if you weren't provoked at all,
Mm-hmm.
just the sort of mental toll of listening to those drums over and over again. First of all, it's not like we're dealing with like the drummer from Rush here. It's not like they're switching up their drum
No,
patterns or
it's
anything.
one beat for about an hour and a half.
Minimum 2 hours, no breaks.
It's true.
And
They were going before the game.
you almost get into this like trance, it's like a violent trance. It's that's pretty much what happened to us. So look, you kind of get the experience, dear listener. I would highly recommend going because I do think it is like the closest you can get to experiencing a European soccer game.
It,
But I wanted to touch quickly on the food because we did do a
yeah,
lap of BMO Stadium to see sort of what their food offerings are.
yeah.
What did you think of the actual offerings inside the stadium?
Not bad. There was a it seemed to be a good collection. Like it's not a huge place. I mean, it's 20. I think it seats 28,000. I heard that on Messy Day because it was full. And so it's a lot of people, obviously. But when you think about something like SoFi being about 4 times as big as that, it's not. It's you put it into that kind of perspective, and there was maybe 10 or 12 like spots, and they had a few like names you might recognize, like Trejo's Tacos has a booth there, and there was that vegan hot chicken spot,
Yeah,
Chickies or
Wolfies.
Wolfies, and
Chickies makes more sense.
like Chickies. If that's not already a hot chicken chain, just wait because
It will be.
I just
Forking
started
around.
it. I'm
Forking around
literally
brings
in
you
Series A
Chickies.
right now, or angel investment. um, hot Chickies. Yeah, but no, it seemed good, and what we got was good too, which was more of like the stadium food.
Yeah, we wanted to try some of their like signature stadium foods that you might not find at other stadiums because I'm personally fascinated by like what stadiums come up with. Like
Mm-hmm.
every year when like the baseball season starts, I love those articles that are like, "Oh, here are all the new exciting dishes at Dodger Stadium." Because
Right.
honestly, they come up with some wacky shit. They like
Yeah.
crunch up Cheetos and put them on soft serve, and then like
Right.
put them on a burger,
So
and then like
gross.
it really reminds me of that show, Man versus Food with Adam Richman. I don't know if you
Mhm.
ever watched it, but
Yeah.
like where he goes and just eats ridiculous things, and it reminds me of that, and it's sort of like this wonderful American excess, and so
Yeah.
every time I go to Dodger Stadium, I vow to myself, I'm going to try one of those ludicrous foods. Of course, I never do. I always gravitate towards the hot dog and the garlic fries,
Yeah.
but I like what I like. At LAFC Stadium, I don't have the same problem because I don't have a Dodger dog or garlic fries calling my
There is
name.
no that.
So
Yeah. Plus,
I
we
was
got
ready.
there early. Like we had
Yeah.
time. We didn't have to rush our food option.
Yeah. So we literally took stock of everything that was in there. And we're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, the things that are calling our names are the barbacoa nachos
Mm-hmm.
and the loaded yuca fries.
Yes.
I gotta say, I was a big fan of those yuca fries. I thought they
I've
really worked in the stadium environment.
100%. I've thought about them at least 4 times since Saturday. They get better in my mind every time.
Yeah.
Those pickled onions on top. To get pickled onions at a stadium on top of a yuca fry with beans and guacamole and nacho
Oh, yeah.
cheese. Come
It
on,
worked.
guys.
It wasn't even like the nasty nacho cheese. It was like the good stuff.
It
I
was
like
good.
it was good. And like the yuca fries themselves, like they held up really nicely. Like even when they started to get a little cooler, they
Hmm.
still had that sort of like steakhouse fry thing going on. That's what they
On the
tasted like.
Yeah,
I I thought that was a really like smart play by
yeah,
the kitchen there, by Aramark or whoever makes their food.
it's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, so I really appreciate that. The barbacoa nachos, I think I'd say they were pretty mid, but they weren't bad.
Yeah, Like they were, I think, when you're thinking about a stadium nacho,
Yeah.
they're in the higher end of that,
Yeah.
but they're
Yeah.
lower than a Taco Bell nacho, which I love. But
That's fair. I've
you
never
know,
had a Taco Bell nacho, believe it or not.
my God, I've been having them since I was a kid, and they just get better and better in my head.
Really? I feel like typically foods like that get worse and worse as you age.
Yeah, Taco Bell and me have a really, really strange love affair going on. It's
Yeah.
the flame has never died. It's equally as good as it was the first time I entered it.
That we're gonna have to make this podcast X-rated now. Thanks for that, Daniel. Yeah, well, you did mention when we ordered those that you're a huge nacho guy. What are your favorite nachos besides Taco Bell?
Love. So I'm a big fan of a ballpark style nacho, which people have a problem with because it's not Mexican when you add ballpark nacho cheese on there. But sorry, it tastes good. So one of my favorites is from La Plancha on West Third. They also
Mhm.
have a location in Venice. They have these things called the Jimmy Nachos. They're exceptional.
Wow.
Yeah, and you can make it Supremo, where they add some guacamole and sour cream, and oof, I could go all day about those. Those are probably my favorite.
That sounds yeah. When I think of why our ancestors immigrated to this country, I think that's why. That's why they did it.
That is why. Yeah.
So we could have those nachos.
100%.
The nachos that stick out of my mind from my history with nachos, and by the way, my wife and I went through like a period a few years ago where we saw nachos on the menu, we were getting them come
Hell
hell or
yeah.
high water.
Mm-hmm.
And we were even making them at home like multiple nights a week till the point like we looked at each other and we're like, we're gonna have to stop this someday, right? And we did. We eventually stopped it. But the nachos during that blissful time period that really stick out of my mind, we're at Pappy and Harriet's in Pioneer Town. Have you heard of this place?
All of those words I don't know.
So Joshua Tree, right? Familiar with it?
Okay. Yes.
It's like
Never been, but
out,
I'm familiar.
yeah, out in the desert, nice little national park we got there.
Mm-hmm.
And to the north of Joshua Tree, there's a town called Pioneer Town. And all of the cool Instagrammy people like to go to this saloon called Pappy and Harriet's. It's a place that used to be kind of just like a, run of the mill saloon with crappy food.
Mm-hmm.
And it's since become a really cool spot to the point where they like get big bands coming through and playing shows there, like just to like say they played at Pappy and Harriet's. And they've also like upped their food game. And one of the items that is really good are these nachos they have, which you might not like this. This is going to be controversial, but they're not on traditional tortilla chips. They're like on massive, massive chips. It's like
Mm.
it's almost like they took like a big flour tortilla or something
Uh-huh.
and dunked it in the like frying oil, and it emerged as this like beautiful like crunchy, delicious tostada-esque thing.
Uh-huh.
Um, and they load that with like all of the fixins, and
Yeah.
you just break off little pieces of it, right? And
Uh-huh.
it's or you can just
Eat the whole
attack it
thing.
like a nacho pizza, right?
Right.
Honestly spectacular. Worth the 2-hour drive alone, in my opinion.
Interesting. That sounds interesting. I think the only kind of time I've ever had nachos like that is from like TGI Fridays back in the day. I don't even know if they do them like that anymore, or
Yeah,
Chili's.
yeah.
I think that's like a Tex-Mex style of doing it.
Hmm,
I'm not
hmm.
sure though, but that's interesting. I definitely am going to need to go to Pioneer Town once we get into fall and I can not have to deal with the 95-degree heat out there,
Yeah,
or
that's smart.
110.
That's the time to go. That is the time to
Yeah.
go. Well, that was a detour because what I really wanted to know is we're at the game. We had these nachos, right?
Hmm.
And the game eventually ended, and
Yep.
we exited the stadium. Thankfully, we did not run into the gentleman who was threatening to beat me up, and we got to our cars safe and sound. Of
Hmm.
course, we were still hungry because we're disgusting people. We can be honest about that, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, where do we go eat? Now there are lots of good taquerias around there. There's Los Huichos down a few blocks south from there, there's Tire Shop Taqueria, which is also fantastic. But we had Holbox before the meal, so we want something a little bit different. So
Hmm.
I suggested that we go to the Las Vegas of Los Angeles, aka Koreatown. What are your
I
thoughts on
love it.
Koreatown in general?
One of the best places in LA, if not the
And
best.
I think it's up there, dude. Most slept on
It's
for sure.
definitely top 5 in terms of nightlife, food, culture, people, excitement. It's top 5.
You could go out on a Wednesday night in Koreatown and not have any plans,
Hmm.
and before you know it, you wake up the next morning and you've had the best night of your life,
Yep,
unplanned.
100%. Yeah.
And we did have a plan though, because I had been dreaming for a while about returning to one of my favorite restaurants in Koreatown, Sunnongdan, which I think is the best place to get a late night bite, especially if you're a meat eater. It is this, they have a couple locations now, but the OG, or the one I always go to, is at the corner of 6th Street in Alexandria in a strip mall. And they're famous for their kalbi jim, which is a Korean short rib stew. Your first time having this bad boy. Oh no, you had this one time before, right?
I'd had it at a different restaurant, but I've had the dish before, actually
Yeah.
recently. So this is my second time, almost back to back, having it, and it's one of my favorite dishes in the world now. But yeah, first time at Sunungdan.
Kalbi Jim, as I understand it, is like a big ceremonial dish in Korea. They make it oftentimes, like your apparently your grandma will make it for you, like a sort of like a, kind of like my grandma would make me lasagna, as sort of this like, big Sunday meal. They
Mm,
make Kalbi Jim. And also it's also apparently served on, it's not quite Thanksgiving, but it's a holiday like Thanksgiving in South Korea. So it's a big, like, ceremonial holiday dish. It's a party when you're having it, right?
uh-huh.
And I hear that traditionally it's a bit less quote unquote rock and roll than we had it. It's a bit more like braised beef, vegetables served with rice, and that's it. The one at Sunnongdan is like that, but on crack. It's, apparently got a lot more garlic than is typical. They serve it, if you request, with cheese, which they come to your table and just
Hmm.
torch the living crap out of in front of your eyes as this beautiful moment of dinner theater. Talk to me about the experience in general. What did it make you feel?
I mean, good things. It made me feel good things. I will say it was a little bit unassuming because when we got there, it was pretty late. You had to walk past a bunch of other restaurants. You're getting the atmosphere of the other restaurants as you're kind of walking past them, and they all feel right in a way. And then you get to Sunandang, and it is fluorescent bright. It feels like an
Yeah.
office building at 3 p.m.
It does. It's like a staple. Yeah.
It is. It's like a Staples. Yeah, so you walk in and go like, this is wrong. Something's wrong here. And
Yeah.
then once you're seated and you get those beers and you order the gabi jim and they bring it over to your table with the torch, you're good to go. You've forgotten about the lighting.
You've forgotten about everything. You've forgotten your
Yeah.
name. You've
Yeah.
forgotten, where you come from, where you've been. And I don't know, there's just something so gratifying about dipping your chopsticks into that big bubbling cauldron of meat that's fallen off the bone, with like the potatoes that are absorbing that beautiful red liquid. It's got the
Hmm.
cheese melted on top. So every single like dive into the cauldron is a cheese pull as well. Great for
Hmm.
Instagram, honestly.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I mean, between the torch and the cheese pulls, like this is like an Instagram wet dream, and you would know about that.
You just said all the words I know a lot about in one sentence.
I meant Instagram is what I meant, but
No,
yeah,
I know, but yeah, this is just who I am, Luca. You got to put a warning at the beginning for this one.
yeah. No, this is gonna be like we're gonna putting this up with a big fat warning. Uh,
Sexual food talk.
Sexual.
Um,
Well, all good food talk is sexual food talk, in my
Food is
opinion.
sexy. It is.
Yeah,
Okay,
fact. That's facts.
facts. That's facts. What was
Uh,
the
I
question?
don't. I don't think there was a question. I think I
Oh,
was just. I think
just-
I think personally, I was getting enraptured by just describing
oh, I
the
was
culmination.
salivating. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
honestly was like, "Oh my god, how
yeah.
can I have that again tonight? I can't because I'm alone. It's too much."
That's a thing, right? We're big eaters, right? And
Uh-huh.
I don't think we even put down
We didn't
like a
even
quarter of that thing,
touch
right?
it. No, we could have
Yeah.
used two more people. Like, I actually think it's almost a perfect meal if you have four people because it's like 25 bucks a pop or like 30 bucks a piece, and you have the like one of the best meals you've ever had.
I think I think 4 is right. I think you could even stretch it to 5.
Uh-huh.
I know I've gone maximum with 3, and we made a similarly embarrassing attempt at finishing it.
Yeah.
So, I think at least 4. But yeah, I mean, I gotta because it can be expensive if you're just going for 2. I think it's like 84 bucks, but then you add the cheese and you add the tuk, which is their like rice noodles,
Rice.
which you
Yeah.
have to add. I mean, if you're not getting
It's
those little rice noodles, what are you doing with your
I don't
life?
even know. Yeah, I don't even know who you are.
Yeah, no, it's somebody that I don't want to be associated with.
Exactly.
By the time you've added that on, you're looking at almost like $100 dish, especially when you're getting beers and stuff on the side as well. So it's
Right.
it's not cheap, but if you go with like, 3, 4 other people, it starts to get more and more affordable, and I think even more and more finishable. So
Yeah.
I think this is like honestly, and the fact that we didn't have to wait that long, we pretty much just walked up and got a table.
We walked right in. It was Saturday night. It was like 10:30. That's kind of like prime time for K-Town.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
We walked right in, got a table, and within 10 minutes that thing was sitting on our table.
Yeah, and the guy was really friendly who torched it. I asked him what kind of cheese is this, and he just goes cheese, which is what you always want to hear.
Uh-huh.
It was just a fantastic experience. So let me ask you, all in
Yeah.
all, the day of eating at LAFC LA Galaxy, how would you rate the day of eating from a scale of 1 to 10?
I mean, that was a 10. Nothing's a 10, but you put all that together, that's a 10.
That's true. I mean,
You know?
if you put Holbosch, some above average yuca fries in the stadium,
Right.
plus Sunong Dan for like post, like I mean, come on, that's insane. Like, what other city can you do that in?
It's one of the best eating days I think I've ever had.
Damn.
Maybe the best. I'd have to think a lot about that, but it's close.
Yeah, it was a special day. I would do it all over again. And honestly,
Mhm.
next time we go to an LAFC game, I suggest maybe we don't do the exact same thing because it was a long ass day. But
Yeah,
we definitely need some element of that in there.
definitely. I 100% agree with you.
Well, I want to finish this off by playing a little game with you that we call
Yeah,
the perfect recommendation, the perfect rec. I haven't played it with a guest in a while, but you look like the kind of guy who enjoys the game.
I love a game.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. We're back with Daniel Wargo. We are going to play the Perfect Rec Sports Edition. So, Daniel, in case you're not familiar with this game, the way it works is I give you a situation, or in this case, a location, and you have to tell me where you would recommend those people go for their meal. Are the rules clear?
The rules are clear. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. This is going to be an easier version because usually I go really crazy and I'm like, Joe Biden got to town and he escaped the White House and nobody knows where he is. And before he gets caught, he wants one last dish and he wants pho. Where do you send him? I'm not going to go crazy like that this time. Okay.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
literally just going to say, where do you go around Dodger Stadium for a good bite?
Okay. I actually get asked this question a lot, and I'm always a little bit like confused or not. I'm not confused about the question. I'm just like, oh, where should I send them? Because I
You're gonna be
haven't.
like, what do you mean you go around Dodger Stadium? You go inside Dodger Stadium and you spend $100 on nachos. That's what you do.
Exactly. I mean, I think that is the right answer, but I will say I'm going to give a few options that are generally close. The closest being Wax Paper in Frogtown for a sandwich. I don't know the hours there though. They could be closed at 4. I hope they're not. But I would say go get a sandwich and actually take it into the stadium with you. They have good sandwiches there.
That's a good
Uh,
rec. Although you know what? They also have a location in Chinatown, which is even closer. So you
oh, I
could
didn't even know that.
You could just get it in their Chinatown location, bring it to the stadium. That's
Although
perfect.
we have different because when you're coming from the valley, Frogtown is how you get to the stadium
Ah, okay. Well
because
then
Dodger Stadium way's right there.
maybe that's even better of a rec because no matter what direction you're coming in,
There's two
it
ways to
works.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so that one, and then I would say if you're gonna go like to Union Station, if you're gonna like go take the bus at Union Station, like Philippe's is right there, Helen Ray's isn't far, do something like that.
That's good. I like that. That's a perfect score on that answer.
Thank you.
Okay. SoFi Stadium, you're taking in a Rams game, or dare I say, a Taylor Swift concert?
Haven't been yet to SoFi. I'm going December 3rd. Browns Rams.
Oh,
And
no Nick Chubb. You're probably not happy about that.
that was a true like devastation last night.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
I'm
was
sorry. I'm sorry.
devastating. That's okay.
The guy I played in my fantasy football team had Nick Chubb though, so I personally was happy. But I
Oh,
do my
sure. That
condolences do go out to you for your game watching experience.
Thank you. That's okay. I didn't have him on fantasy this year, so yay me, I guess. That one's really tough because I don't know the specific area of SoFi. Like I don't think I've ever eaten over there. But I do know Westchester, okay, which isn't too far.
Yeah, that
Um,
works.
you know, so in Westchester, where would I go? I would probably go to I can't even think of a non-chain over there. I would go to the Howard Hughes Center. This is a
Okay.
terrible recommendation, by the way. Like, listen to anybody else about this because this is not what you should do. Like, if you want a real good bite before the game, but I would go to the Howard Hughes Center. I'd probably go to Kabuki. I love Kabuki. People hate it. I don't give a shit. It's
Is it like
amazing.
Japanese?
It's sushi, yeah, and it's not
Ah,
like your best sushi, but it's like their rolls are really good. So go get a couple
yeah, like
rolls at Kabuki. I think there's a Rubio's there, or at least there used to be. Rubio's is some of the best fish tacos you can get. Like, you know,
I think I had Rubio's the night before my wedding or 2 nights before, so yeah, it has a special place in my heart now. Okay,
yeah.
so if I say I'm not gonna lie, dude, that was, like, not your best answer, so,
No, it wasn't. It's
I gave you
terrible.
credit. I gave you credit on Dodger Stadium, but on SoFi,
I, I'm sure Inglewood has amazing food. I just haven't tried it.
yeah,
So,
no, well, okay, so now we know where the next food crawl has to happen, but that's good. It's good.
yes.
We're learning. Okay,
Yeah.
Staples Center. Where do you go?
Ooh, well, you go to, well, if you want it super easy, you go to LA Live, you go to Yard House. I don't care. I don't care. Okay, that's the chain. I love Yard House. Okay, there's also a new, what just opened over there? Oh my God, it's so good. I gotta think about it. Something just opened there recently, and it's really good.
Okay.
Um,
So you either go to Yard House or the place that just opened.
yeah, super helpful. I would probably go to Grand Central Market.
Okay, I like
You
that.
know,
It's yeah, yeah.
it's
Not
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 too
like it
far.
not too far. It's a bit of like 20-minute walk. But if you gave wax paper as your Dodger Stadium answer, we can allow Grand Central Market.
Yeah, the problem is parking downtown. But yeah, I'd probably go over there and get for the win. I haven't tried that one yet. Those like what's really good there? Those pupusas are really good there.
Yep, Sarita's. Yep, they're
Cerritos.
good Filipino place. Sorry store is there.
Mm.
And they're opening a Via's Tacos there now.
Oh, okay. Well, that's really exciting. Oh, and they also have a Ghost Sando there, which I
They
I
do.
really love as well. So yeah, that's like the best thing I can think of, which I admit is probably a B rating because there's got to be something closer. Just can't think of it.
Yeah, yeah. I'd say you're at A for Dodger Stadium. You're at
Hmm.
like a D minus for SoFi Stadium.
Okay, that's
Y-
that's a
y-
little low, but that's fair.
Here, I mean, honestly, like you got a D minus just by recommending food, like which is like the bare minimum. And then Staples Center, you're like I'd say yeah, that's probably like a B plus A minus because like it's a bit of a cop out, but it's a good rec, so we'll allow it.
It's
Okay,
yeah. Everybody's gonna be happy there.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so now we're going to diverge a little bit from sports, and that's Hollywood Bowl. Where do you go before the bowl?
Oh my gosh. Okay, okay, okay. You're at the bowl. You're at the bowl. You're going to dinner. Okay, so if I'm coming from the valley side,
Yeah.
if I wanted more of a sit down, I might go to Mercado.
Okay.
on Cahuenga-ish or whatever that street that goes through there. If I wanted more of a quick bite, I would probably go to 8-ounce Poke in Studio City. If I was coming from that side. If I was coming from the Hollywood side, I think I would do, if I wanted a sit down dinner, I probably wouldn't do that. It's just a lot. That'd be too much. And if I wanted a quick bite, I probably would go to Thai Town. And honestly, you put a blindfold, turn around like this, and point at a place, and it's going to have good food.
I like this rec. I'm going to give you an A on this one. I think you really went above and beyond with the taking directions into account. You got weird with it. You weren't too good for any one place in Thai Town. So you know what? I appreciate your approach to this one. And I got to say, you're coming back. I don't know if you're going to win this game, but you're coming back.
Thank you. I'm doing my best here.
Final one. And this should be a layup for you. All
right.
Honda Center in Anaheim.
Ooh, sheesh. Okay. All right. Okay. Honda Center in Anaheim. This is what we're going to do. Okay. Not too far away is going to be in Garden Grove, but on Harbor. So it's kind of like in the Anaheim side of Garden Grove is Urban Punjab. They've got great like Indian food, Punjabi food there. Amazing. And the owners are great. Super, super nice place. Right there, basically, is probably King's Fish House is probably going to be your best bet for like a nicer meal. They have it's just like a nice fish house, but it's not like going to break the bank, and you can get oysters. Like you can have a nice meal there. If they're open, the Trough sandwich shop, I don't really know their hours. I get breakfast burritos there. I don't know how late they serve them or what time the game's at, but that's really close and really, really good. I'm going to give you one more, I think. No, I'm not. That's going to be it.
All right, look, I was going to say this game was a roller coaster for you. You were very much you were the LA Galaxy of this game, but I will say you came back and you won it at the end because that Anaheim recommendation really took it over the top. So congratulations, by the skin of your teeth, you won the game.
Thank you. I don't eat at stadiums very often. Well, I eat at stadiums. I don't eat around stadiums very often. So
no.
This is where we are.
You're doing God's work, supporting Aramark and the companies who make the food at stadiums. So, somebody has to do it. Daniel, thank you so much for making time for us today.
Thank you for having me.
In case people don't know where to find you, where can they find you?
I am forking around, forkingaround.tv on Instagram, _TV on TikTok, because the world isn't fair and you don't get the usernames you want. So that's what I have. And I'm on there. Say hi.
What, you got any fun series going on right now?
I've been kind of straying away from that. I'm still kind of doing the Topanga Social series and also the LA Breakfast Burrito series, but they're very, very slow.
Yeah. So it's mostly just eating whatever sounds good.
Basically, yeah. Luckily, I've had an opportunity to eat some really great food lately, and, I hope it never ends.
All right, everybody. Go give Daniel a follow. We'll put his links in the show notes. And Daniel, thank you as always.
Thank you, Luca. I appreciate it. I love being on the show.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the LA Food Podcast. Thanks to our guest, Daniel Wargo, for joining us. If you like what you heard today, please go to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a rating, review, subscribe. Seriously, it turns out that stuff really matters. So if you could take a moment and say something nice about us, I would be forever grateful. We'll be back with another episode next week. But in the meantime, if you're looking for me, you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads at the LA Countdown. That's TheLACountDown. You could also find us on Instagram at LA Food Pod. That's LAFOODPOD.